Maybe this isn't about social cohesion after all.
No politique here.
I read the Royal Commission on Anti-Semitism and Social Cohesion's interim report, so you don't have to. And some of the omissions and the way they frame things is extraordinary. Let's start with Gaza. The report makes particular mention of October 7th, the Hamas attacks, the 1,200 lives lost, hostages taken. It then says this triggered an Israeli military offensive in Gaza. That's it. That one phrase encapsulates everything to do with what has happened in Gaza since then. Everything after that is just events in the Middle East, the conflict, the hostilities. No examination of whether the scale or conduct of the offensive by Israel in Gaza has driven any protest activity or community tension in Australia. Yet they have no trouble being specific about October 7th. The asymmetry is not accidental. They only want to tell one side of the story. And on that, the protest that followed, the only one described with any detail is the October 9th Opera House March. Every other protest in the 2.5 years is summarized as activities related to the Israel-Gaza conflict. No examination about what those protests were about, no examination of police conduct at them, nothing on how heavy-handed responses may have damaged social cohesion, none of that. It's just wrapped up in a nice little bow of zero nuance and irrelevancy so they can make the point they predetermined they wanted to make. The report makes mention about the banning of Nazi symbols, terrorist organization symbols, and the Nazi salute. What it doesn't mention is the Isaac Herzog visit and the police response to that protest, the contested banning of phrases like "from the river to the sea," which does not appear once in the entire 159-page document, or the chilling effect that's had on the broader community, or even especially the Arab and Muslim communities, which are obviously being treated by our government as less important. You know, God forbid you're a Lebanese person who wants to have solidarity with Lebanon. That's anti-Semitic nowadays. For a report about social cohesion, the other half of the community does not exist to them. Let me be boring for a second and talk about citations. There are 464 of them in this document, but major claims, including the Opera House incident, are stated as fact with no citation. Where data is cited for rising anti-Semitism, it comes almost entirely from one source, the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, or ECAJ. The ECAJ report it uses is a self-reported incident dataset with no independent verification and no cross-referencing with police statistics or academic research. It classifies incidents like someone wearing a "from the river to the sea" t-shirt or someone saying "fuck Israel" as anti-Semitic. And the commission cites it with zero caveats. No acknowledgement that ECAJ is a partisan advocacy organization. No note that their report heavily targets the left and the Islamists, or describes what those are. We know it just means Muslims and people who disagree with us. No recognition that they are an Israeli lobbying body whose priorities are not social cohesion, but protecting Israel. The rant in the opening overview of their document alone should have been disqualifying as a standalone source that should be taken seriously, yet here we are. It is insanity. Here's where it all ties together though, and what's hiding in plain sight. The Commission's own letters of patent state that the Australian government has adopted the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's working definition of anti-Semitism. The Commission is literally constituted under the disputed IRA definition without debate, but they never once discuss what that means, what its contested provisions are, particularly around criticism of Israel, or what critics of it have argued. The definition is foundational to every framing choice in this document and is never examined once. That, I think, is the point. If you interrogate the IRA definition, you have to interrogate whether social cohesion in this report is really about protecting the community. Or is it about suppressing dissent towards a foreign government that is currently engaged in all manners of war crimes across the Middle East? And that's not what they want to do. They want an easy out. They want to simply say that anti-Semitism is the problem and here are the things we need to do to curb criticism of what we deem anti-Semitism without discussing what anti-Semitism is. So yeah, I don't think it's about social cohesion. Hey, thanks for watching. Help me make things better with a like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps. Cheers.